This is the Louie Tee Network.
Who else could it be but me, your mate, Louie Tee? Welcome to Lockdown Coverage, week number 7 in the National Football League, AFC East family business. Miami Dolphins at home hosting the Buffalo Bills. Dolphins just can't seem to figure this Bills team out. Were they going to be able to do it on this Sunday? We're going to talk about that. But you know how it goes when it's family business. If these two teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. Dolphins looking to handle a little bit of family business at the crib. Bills riding a 4-game winning streak. Could they make it 5? We'll talk about that here in a second. But first, welcome to the Louie Tee Network. If this is your first time here, subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content in 2016 and beyond. Doing some big things over here. Changing the game. I want you to be a part of that. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more great content on YouTube, on the Louie Tee Network. Also, I'm on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. Go ahead, give me a follow there. Notifications, great tweets, all of that stuff. You will find it on my Twitter account @InTheLabRoom. And also, I'm on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. All of my social media platforms right there up above. So, with that being said, let's jump into this breakdown. Likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe. Some really good takeaways from this game. This was actually a well-played football game. This game had some ebbs and flows and some big plays made and some players really starting to establish themselves in this league, and it's good to see. It's really good to see. Let's get to the likes, starting with the road team, that being the Buffalo Bills in the first half. Tyrod Taylor, to me, was on the likes list. I thought he played really well in the first half of this game, and really, in general, I thought he played really well. Didn't turn the football over. Used his legs like he normally does to escape pressure. And I can't tell you how many sacks this guy avoided just by his elusiveness and his ability to escape outside of the pocket, even if he threw it away. You know, they were getting after him in this game, and he was able to elude a couple of sacks that probably 95% of the quarterbacks in this league are taken down on, and he was able to get away. And even like I said, if it was just aborting a bad play, you're getting pressure, you're going to get sacked, get rid of the football. And Tyrod Taylor did that. He used his legs effectively in this game, had a touchdown run in the first half, threw it well, had a deep ball to Marquise Goodwin down the sideline, beautifully thrown. He was under duress on that play, took a shot and delivered the football on the money for a 67-yard TD strike. I thought he was good. He was good enough for his team to win in this game. I thought he played well. Didn't get a lot of help from the run game. Of course, Shady McCoy nursing a hamstring injury, so we knew that coming into the game. Didn't think they got a lot from the run game necessarily, and so he really had to do it by himself, and it wasn't enough in this game. But Tyrod Taylor, I thought, gave the Bills a chance in this football game. Red zone defense is on my likes list, especially in the first half. The Bills did a great job of holding the Dolphins to 2 field goals in that first half. They were moving the football with the Dolphins, but they were getting stagnant in the red zone. And give some credit to this Bills defense for bending but not breaking in the first half of this game, allowing them to go to the halftime break with a 10-6 lead. So I thought they did some really good things in terms of stopping the Dolphins from getting in the end zone. That's how you win in this league, is by preventing points from being put up on the scoreboard. You can have all the yards you want, but if you're settling for threes, the other team's going to find a way to win generally in this league. And so I thought the red zone defense of the Bills in the first half was exceptional. First half lights for the Dolphins. The throwback uniforms, first and foremost. Love them, love them, love them. Okay? I wish that was their normal, everyday, every week uniform. Okay? That throwback is phenomenal. Okay? That's so clean, man. I love the color. I love the helmets. that's a clean look, man. One of the best throwbacks in the league right now. Opening possession, albeit a field goal, I thought it set a tone in this game. Jay Ajayi got going early, and that was a sign of things to come. Tannehill was in a little bit of a rhythm. I thought that opening possession, again, only yielding a field goal, but that was, to me, a really good possession that allowed them to have in their minds, we can do this today. We can beat these boys. They come out, they go 3 and out. Bills go down, get some points. Maybe they're not feeling the same way in terms of confidence, but they go down first possession, march it right down the field, and bog down, have to settle for a field goal, but you still say, okay, we did some good things on that drive. We can run the football on them for sure because we just did that. And if we can protect Tannehill, man, we got a chance to get these boys today. And thought that was a tone-setting opening drive in this game. You go to the dislikes in the first half. It's a run defense for the Buffalo Bills. They almost gave up 100 yards rushing in the first half. Jay Ajayi had 94 yards at halftime of this football game. This is inexcusable for a Bills defense that have been playing such good football and on a 4-game winning streak. You just didn't expect the leaks defensively up front. Now, granted, this Dolphins team has been running the football the last 2 weeks with reckless abandon. I mean, they are unconscious right now running the football. They don't give a damn who it is. They're putting up 2 and some change on everybody, and Jay Ajayi is spearheading that horse right now as he's gashing teams, and the Bills were no different. They got lit up in the first half of this game, and really they got lit up in both halves of this football game. But the first thing that I noticed was like, wow, he's getting 11, 12, 8, 7, 14, 19, 12, 6. I mean, he was getting chunks in the first half, and I'm like, wow. I'm not used to seeing the Bills give it up like this, or at least not on this 4-game winning streak. We've seen the Bills give it up before, but, I mean, you need to not go any further than week 2 versus the Jets and Matt Forte, who went over 100 yards in that game on this Bills defense. But we haven't seen it since then. But since they got up to that 0-2 start, during this 4-game winning streak, they've been stopping the run. They've been effective defensively. They've been getting after the opposing team's quarterback. They didn't do that in this game. Tannehill wasn't under a bunch of duress. He did get sacked once or twice, but he was able to use his legs. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. The run defense was not great. That was one of my dislikes in the first half. Marquise Goodwin with a 3rd down drop. Wasn't the best ball from Tyrod Taylor. Didn't think the placement on this ball was the greatest, but you still like to see your receiver come down with that football. And I'm pretty sure if you ask Marquise Goodwin, he'll tell you, hey, I got to catch that. So to me, that was a drop. The rule is, as a receiver, if it hits your hands, you're supposed to catch it. He had an opportunity to catch it. He just didn't. So that's another dislike for me there. Killed the drive. That seemed like it had a little bit of promise. They had to come off the field. Dolphins first half dislikes. Settling for field goals in the red zone. Talked about the opening possession and them getting down the field and then having to settle for a field goal. They get down there late in the second quarter, right before the half. And it's a beautiful drive. And then you get a couple of big penalties. You get a holding penalty, and you get a Jarvis Landry, a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, peel back block penalty, essentially, which really injured Bill's safety, Williams, and sent him to the hospital. And you can see the blood in his mouth. That was, to me, I don't want to necessarily call it dirty, but it was unnecessary and uncalled for. You hate to see guys headhunting, which is my next dislike. Jarvis Landry headhunting. There's no place in the league for that, man. That's garbage right there. You know what I mean? You want to light him up, go light him up in his chest. You know, if he can't get up after that, that's on him. You know, but don't hit a man in his head neck area. It was a dirty shot. I'm not a huge fan of it, and I don't think he's a dirty player. I think he was just being aggressive, but you got to make sure you do it within the lines and the rules of the game, man. There's no place for that, man. That man's got a family and all that stuff. You putting that man at risk when you do stuff like that, man. Hit him in his chest, take him out like that, but don't hit the man upstairs, man. That's uncalled for. So I wasn't a huge fan of that at all. But that penalty cost them a potential touchdown. Okay, after that penalty, you lose 15 yards there. You end up having to settle for a field goal. So it's those types of penalties that are going to kill this dog. I don't like the discipline. I think this is an undisciplined Dolphins team. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But, yeah, that was not a good penalty by Jarvis Landry. So you go back to the likes and you go back to the Dolphins. This time we go to the second half, or excuse me, to the Bills, and we go to the second half. 67-yard touchdown strike to Marquise Goodwin. Beautiful throw by Tyrod. I told you, Tyrod Taylor throws among the best deep balls in the league, man. When he cocks back and lets it rip, it is gorgeous. Plenty of air underneath his deep ball. Man, does he throw a great deep ball. And Marquise Goodwin ran right under it. And like I said, he was under duress when he threw this one, took a shot, and delivered the football. Great throw by Tyrod Taylor. That gave the Bills a 17-6 lead. I'm saying to myself, they got him. They're going to win this game. And it wasn't to be. Give some credit to the Dolphins, and I will a little bit later on, for coming back and scoring, 19 unanswered points, or as a matter of fact, it was 22 unanswered points, because at one point they had a 28-17 lead. So great job on the part of the Dolphins for responding the way that they did. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But Schmidt, Tate, and Meek all downing a punt at the 1-yard line. So your punter, Schmidt, with a great kick that Tate goes down and catches at the 1 and then throws it back into the field of play before he falls into the end zone. And then Jonathan Meek's able to come and down that punt at the 1. These are huge plays that, we don't talk a lot about, but they flip field position. They put teams in an uncomfortable situation when your back's up against the goal line and your quarterback is dropping back. And if you get a holding penalty in the end zone, it's a safety. He gets sacked, it's a safety. Play callers are a lot more cautious around there, so you're more likely to get a 3 and out. You try to be over aggressive, you can make a mistake there that can change the ball game. So having the ball down at the 1 is crucial. Big play by the Bills special teams there. You go to the Dolphins and their second half likes. Sticking with Ajayi in the run game down 11. I love this. And this is somewhat of an indictment on Ryan Tannehill, that you just say, all right, we down 11, third quarter, in the second half. Probably need to throw the football now. But you know who you have, know who you are. And Ryan Tannehill isn't a guy that you want to rely on to throw it 45 times and have to rally the troops and bring your team back. Stick with what's been working for you, and that's Jay Ajayi in this run game. And I was surprised because most teams in the league panic in situations like this. You're down 11, you're at home, midway through the third quarter. It's easy to just say, you know what? To hell with the run game. We're down too much. We need to throw the football and throw the run game out the window. I've seen coordinators do it all season long when it was unnecessary. I've seen coordinators stop running the football when they're down 3 or they're up 3 in ball games. So for him and him being Adam Gase to stick with the run despite trailing by 11 in this game midway through the third quarter, to me, that is awesome. And that was, to me, the biggest reason they won this game. If they turn it over to Tannehill, I don't think they win this football game. But them sticking with Jay Ajayi, to me, was the best thing they could have done in this football game. How about the 10-play, 75-yard, 5-minute and 33-second drive that the Dolphins put together down 17-6? The immediate possession after they went down 11, they needed a response right then and there. You couldn't wait. You couldn't delay. You needed to respond right there. And they did with that magnificent 10-play, 75-yard, 5-minute and 33-second drive. And then they capped it off with a 2-point conversion to cut the Dolphins or the Bills' lead to 3. So I thought that was huge in this game. Huge for the psyche of the team, and also huge to let the Bills know we're not going away today. And if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to actually beat us. We're not giving you this game. So that was a huge drive. Huge response there. That's how you knew at that point, okay, these guys aren't going away. They're mentally tougher now than they were 3 weeks ago, and they're going to be in this game, and they may steal it if they hang around long enough. Jay Ajayi is the next like on. How can you not be just floored with what he's done the last 2 weeks? And you know how I felt about Jay Ajayi coming into the league, and if you don't, go check my Draft Prospects 101 series that I did on the 2015 draft class. he was one of my favorite backs in that draft. I thought he was special, could catch it out of the backfield. The only thing that I didn't think he was capable of is making guys miss out of space. Well, that's been his signature in these last 2 weeks, is making guys miss, and it's more along the lines of breaking tackles and running through arm tackles than actually juking a guy out of space, which is what I said he couldn't do. But I thought he didn't run tough enough in college at Boise. He's been running his ass off, and he's been running through arm tackles, breaking multiple tackles on a bunch of these carries. That's the one thing I got wrong with Jay Ajayi coming into the league. Everything else, spot on. This guy is magnificent, and I thought he could be if he just stayed healthy. Also had injury concerns at Boise. He's running the football exactly the way that I thought he was capable of running it, and he's now set an NFL record, tied it at least, for 2 consecutive 200-yard rushing efforts. The man had close to 100 in the first half, had over 100 in the second half. And so this guy's just been the catalyst for this 2-game winning streak. The Dolphins have turned their season around. Now, it's not complete now yet because they still haven't gotten back to 500, but to start the season off 1-4 and to win 2 straight in improbable fashion. No one thought this team was going to beat the Steelers. Nobody thought they were going to beat the Bills either. And have Jay Ajayi do what he's done the last 2 weeks and really be the catalyst for these victories, you got to tip your cap to Jay Ajayi for mentally staying tough, because remember, he was benched and even left at home week 1 versus Seattle because he was quote-unquote pouting and needed a better attitude about not starting and having Arian Foster take starters reps. So just a month ago, he was in a different mind space, and for him to come out and play the way he's played the last 2 weeks, give some credit to the Dolphins coaching staff for not putting this young kid in the doghouse. We see this all the time with coaches who get on their high pedestal, who have egos, who think, okay, I'm going to show this player and I'm going to show this team that this isn't going to be rewarded and I'm not going for this. And to allow this young kid to come out and do what he's done the last 2 weeks, huge for this Miami Dolphins football team. Tannehill's mobility. Look, you know how I feel about Ryan Tannehill. He's the king of inconsistency. He frustrates me to no end because I've been defending him for years, but I'm sick of it. But this is when he's at his best. When he uses it, sometimes I feel like he forgets that he's athletic. You can run. It's allowed, okay? You're allowed to run as a quarterback. You don't have to stay in the pocket. You don't have to. And so in this game, when he uses his legs in any game, he's a much more dangerous, well-rounded, and capable quarterback. When he decides, I'm going to stay in the pocket no matter what, I might take a sack, I might fumble, but I'm going to stay in his pocket, that's when problems arise. That's when he starts making mistakes. But when he gets out of the pocket, when harm starts to come his way and he avoids the rush and gets out of dodge, that's when he's at his best, because he can throw on a run and he can also use his legs to pick up yards and get into a manageable third down distance. And so I just love when he uses his footwork and uses his legs to get out of the pocket and his mobility to get outside the pocket. And he made some really good throws in this game on the run, and I'd like to see him continue to use his mobility. Thought he played well. I didn't think he was great in this game. I thought he played well enough to help his team win this football game. And I think his mobility is what gives him some confidence, because it's one thing when you're taking sacks and making mistakes. It's another thing when you're getting outside the pocket and staying ahead of schedule, staying ahead of the sticks. It's huge when you pick up 4 on 1st and 10 and you run. And nothing's there, nothing's open, and you get out of the pocket and you run, and now you set up 2nd and 6. You know how much better 2nd and 6 is than 2nd and 10? It's really simple. It doesn't seem like much, but just using your legs can really help you get into an offensive rhythm and flow. And I thought Tannehill did that in this game. 66-yard touchdown for Kenny Stills. Beautiful throw by Tannehill, underthrowing him and allowing Kenny Stills to adjust to the football. 2 Bills defenders crash into one another, and Stills essentially walks into the end zone. Big play. That put this game out of reach at 28-17. So it was a really big play. Dolphins were up 21-17 at the time of this completion. Stills catching it and getting into the end zone. So Dolphins making some big plays in this game to give themselves a chance to win. You go to the second half, dislikes for both teams. Jonathan Meeks drops an interception, and every week Tannehill's going to give you an opportunity for one. And Meeks had his opportunity, and it would have gave the Bills about 20 yards of extra field position, because The next play, they had to punt the football, did the Dolphins, and they ended up the Bills ended up fair catching the football around the 21. If Meeks picks that pass off, they're in business around the 37, 39-yard line. So you're talking about almost 20 yards of field position. That's a difference between getting a field goal and having to punt on fourth down after a couple of first downs. So those are the types of plays you got to make. If you want to continue your 4-game winning streak and turn it into 5, you need to make that play, and Meeks wasn't able to do that. Allowing a 54-yard run. So I talked about the great play by Schmidt, Tate, and Meeks all coming together. Schmidt punting the football, Brandon Tate catching it at the 1 and throwing it back into the field of play, and Jonathan Meeks downing it at the 1. You got these boys right where you want them. You get a stop here, you're getting great field position. You're up 17-14 at this point in the game. So if you could just get this stop and get the football back, you're probably going to get it either at midfield somewhere or you're going to get it inside of Dolphins territory. Instead, you allow Jay Ajayi to continue his monster day by ripping off a 54-yard run, giving them all the breathing space they could ask for, and then some. They ultimately had to punt, but what that 54-yard run effectively did was it flipped the field position, and the Bills did not recover from that run. 66-yard touchdown, and Kenny Stills giving up. Look, you can't give up those big plays. You were only down 4 at this time of the game. If you get a stop, get the football back, who knows what's going to happen. You can't give that up there on that situation, and they did. It's unfortunate, but when it rains, it pours, and it started pouring on the Buffalo Bills late in this ball game. Injuries to Williams, Goodwin, and McCoy. Talked about Williams getting hit by Jarvis Landry and having to go to the hospital. Goodwin, went up for a ball in the fourth quarter. Head slammed back violently against the turf. He was knocked out. You can see him. He was not moving on the turf. So he's dealing with a concussion. And Shady McCoy, we talked about him going into this game with the hamstring. He did not make it all the way through. You had some people questioning the decision to play him in this game. I don't think it was a bad decision, but you could tell he was not 100% early in this ball game. Dolphins, second half dislikes, giving up the 67-yard touchdown to Goodwin. Look, you can't be peeking in the backfield. Byron Maxwell falling asleep behind the wheel. I'm not sure what coverage he was supposed to be in. It looked like cover 3. It looked like he had a third of the field. You got to stay deeper than the deepest. He didn't. Eyes in the backfield cheating. And with a guy with world-class speed, you can't allow him to get on your toes. And that's essentially what Byron Maxwell did, never really getting out of his back pedal until it was too late. And once that guy's even, he's leaving for sure. Safety gets over late, and it's a touchdown. Arian Foster with a third down drop. You know, that's the one thing you expect from Arian Foster is to catch the football. One of the better dual backs in terms of catching and running the rock. In his prime in Houston, he's no longer that guy, but you can still rely on him to catch it. But he didn't catch it there, and that would have extended the drive. And Dolphins had all the momentum at that point. They had just come off a touchdown, and so they had taken the lead in this game, and they had just scored a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to cut the deficit to 3. You got all the momentum here. Here's an opportunity to keep it going. He drops the football. And then finally, the penalties. This, to me, is an undisciplined team. You get a Byron Maxwell penalty at the end when the Bills were basically out of this game down 28-17. It's 4th and about 11, and he gets a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on the Bills' sidelines. Then you get Jason Jones with a late hit out of bounds, just helping the Bills on that last possession. And there were a ton of holding penalties. Like I said, this is an undisciplined team to me. Jarvis Landry spinning the football on the Bills sideline, getting an unsportsmanlike conduct, taunting penalty. These are all things that can be fixed and are all on the head coach to make them uncomfortable with these types of mistakes. You make these kind of mistakes on my football team, they will be held to pay. And right now, I just don't feel like guys have that mindset. They're going out and doing a bunch of dumb stuff. And so you'd like to see them clean that up. And the penalties, holding, that's part of the reason why you don't get a touchdown on one of those drives where you had to settle for a field goal early. You get a holding penalty, then you get a a Jarvis Landry peel back block penalty, and voila, it's third and on forever, and you got to settle for a field goal. So they just need to clean up those things. If you're the Miami Dolphins, be more disciplined. Right now, at some points, they look like an undisciplined football team. For the Buffalo Bills, my banana in the tailpipe is that I was on board for that 4-game winning streak, but I need to see more consistency from this team in terms of stopping the run. This was not – you're not supposed to give up 200 yards rushing. You don't go from what the Bills were doing to 215 yards to one man. That's inexcusable, and I don't know if their run defense is as good as I thought after seeing this game. That was pretty bad, and I know you're missing some guys up front. You know, you're waiting for Marcel Darius to come back. I saw Shaq Lawson out there running around. He looked good, but the bottom line is you got to tighten up. This team played well enough offensively for you to win this game. Defensively, you didn't get it done. However, you're up 11. That's all I'm going to say. You're up 11. You got to find a way to win this game. You didn't, and I think a lot of that falls on the shoulders of this defense. And so I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe that, oh, yeah, Rex has got it figured out. This defense is going to be better moving forward. Still think they got a ways to go on that side of football. And the banana in the tailpipe for the Dolphins, 2 straight wins, keyed by Jay Ajayi's rushing ability and Ryan Tannehill's ability to not turn it over. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe that Ryan Tannehill is all of a sudden reformed and, yeah, he's got all his linemen in front of him. And when he's got all his linemen, he's great. I'm not falling for that banana in the tailpipe. This was family business. You were able to take care of a team that you're familiar with. Now, you've struggled with them. You got it done in this game, so that was great. But still not buying what the Dolphins are selling quite yet. You don't go from one of the worst teams in the league at 1-4 to just all of a sudden playing hot football. So we're going to see if this Dolphins team is, in fact, turning a corner, or is this another one of those damn mirages that we keep falling for with this Dolphins football team. We're going to find out if there's some substance behind what they're doing. So my banana in the tailpipe is not falling for this 2-game winning streak, keyed by the running of Jay Ajayi. I need to see more. I need to see them beat some other teams. This was a good win right here versus the Bills, a team that was playing among the best football in the league, riding a 4-game winning streak. But you snap that winning streak, and now you have a winning streak of your own at 2. Can you make it 3 and get back to 500 on the season? That's the big question. So, with that being said, going to check Twitter real quick. Nothing on Twitter. Let's check your comments and see what you guys have to say. Tristan Brown says, oh, yeah, Louie, I told you we were going to win this one. You did tell me you were going to win, and you guys got it done. And that was a big win. I didn't think you had it in you. I really didn't. You struggle with the Bills every single year, whether it's at their place or in yours. The Bills have seemed to run you out of the gym every year. You were able to get it done. But I'll tell you what, I bet you at 17-6, you were starting to say, this don't make no sense. Here we go again. But you guys were able to pull it out. Jonathan Adams says, I know you were talking about the Bills in Miami, but Matt Jones needs to sit out a game out for the Skins. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I'm talking Bills, Dolphins. We have all Wednesday to talk about the Redskins. Tristan Brown says, if we can keep playing better like this, I can see us going 10-6 or better. Pump your brakes. Don't start doing that. I love when fans get on a little winning streak and all of a sudden now our team is 10-6. You got to take it one game at a time. Get back to 500 first. You're still under 500. Get there first, then come back and talk to me. Until then, I don't want to hear about playoffs or 10-6 or anything. Don't start using the P word. Don't start slinging that around. Don't start talking about winning double-digit games. Get back to 500 first. That's always a goal. Get to 500. You can't make any power moves and you're under 500. So get back to 500 first. Then we'll start talking about, the prospects of the Dolphins potentially making some moves, not only in the AFC East, but the AFC Conference. But got to start winning games in succession. You've done that by winning 2 in a row. Make it 3 in a row. Get back to 500, and then we'll talk. All right. Tristan Brown says, you think if we can continue, we will start being brought up in a playoff? Yeah, we can't use the P word yet. It's too early for that. You're still not at 500. So I basically answered that with my last statement. Don't start using the P word yet until you guys get back to 500. And once you get back to 500, then you can start assessing, the second half of the season. You'll be eight weeks in at that point, you'll be able to look up and say, okay, this is what we got left. This is the next 2 or 3 games. If we can go here and here, and win, we can do this and that. And then you can start playing the scenario game. But you can't start slinging around the P word till you start winning some more games. All right, so we on the same page. So that's going to do it for Miami Dolphins home, getting the job done versus the Buffalo Bills, a team that had owned the Dolphins. This is a huge win for the Dolphins. I'm starting to see the team that I thought we could see at the beginning of the season. I was high on the Dolphins going into the season in terms of their ability and the talent on their roster. I wasn't, however, sold on Ryan Tannehill and his ability to get it done. But the running game has been the lead dog in the clubhouse, and Tannehill has followed suit. If they can continue to run the football, take pressure off of Tannehill, and allow him to just be a manager of the game, this is a Dolphins team that could be dangerous moving forward. They get it done 28-25, and really this game shouldn't have been that close at the end. A couple of boneheaded penalties, and I talked about the undisciplined nature of this team late. Jones with the penalty. I talked about the penalty on your cornerback, Byron Maxwell, on the sidelines when it would have been 4th and 11. Bills didn't look like they were going to pick that up. You just can't make those type of mistakes and expect to win in this league. And you got lucky that you were up 11 at the time, because the Bills sure did drive down, get a touchdown, get the 2-point conversion, and cut it to 3. Weren't able to get the onside kick. So it could have cost this Dolphins team in this game with all the mistakes. Got to cut back on those. But tell you one thing, this is a Dolphins team right now playing their best football of the season by far. Let's see if they can take this confidence and this 2-game winning streak now and parlay it into a 3rd win and get back to 500 on the season. For the Bills, all right, started 0-2. You win 4 straight. Now you lose a game. You're at 4-3. You're probably upset at the way you played in this game. You're up 11. You expect to find a way to win a game you're up 11 in the second half of, but didn't happen. Go back to the drawing board and see if you can't start another streak if you're the Buffalo Bills. I think they're still playing some good defense, but that run D in this game was shoddy at best. They're going to need to refine that and come back a better football team because of the beating they took on the ground in this game. Bills now 4-3 on the season. That's going to do it for lockdown coverage. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. I'll be back a little bit later. Got plenty more games to break down. Don't you go anywhere. Your man Louie Tee is got you breaking down Week 7 in the National Football League. I will see you a little bit later on.